Hey everyone, I'm Tyler Metcalf and I watched the film so you don't have to. On this video, we're taking a look at Jayden Quaintance and his big return in Kentucky's 78 to 66 win over St. John's. Quaintance was coming back from a knee injury that he suffered last year. This is his first game in a Kentucky uniform and he rocked. The guy that we had top 10 hopes for coming into the year, that's exactly who he looked like. Now, he only played 17 minutes in this game, but it was a dominant 17 minutes, especially on the defensive end. He ended up with 10 points on 5 of 7 shooting, 8 rebounds, 2 blocks. He was an absolute force. In only 17 minutes, it felt like 34. Let's dive into the film, take a look at where Quaintance really found success and why Kentucky fans and draft fans should be very excited about his return. Welcome to Film School. Let's dive in. So Quaintance's calling card is his defense and athleticism and strength, and these are a couple defensive possessions that I want to start with that really stood out to me in this game, that really personified his versatility, his absurd strength, the discipline, the timing, the physical tools, all of it packaged into one incredible interior defender who can also move really well in space. And the way that he's moving in these clips, that's not a guy who looks like he just came back from a knee injury. Like, this looks like he's in midseason form already, and it's his first game back against the 22nd team, ranked team in the country. Not bad. So here I really control closeout. Good job keeping his feet alive, sliding his feet, and then off the handoff, immediately switching, playing at the level, being disruptive, nice little cat and mouse game, waits for his teammate to recover once that pass is made. Now he disengages and immediately recovers, but keeping his eye on the play, keeping the play in front of him, being aware of what's going on around him. So as the drive comes, Quaintance is in a perfect position to rotate over and now smother this shot attempt. Not sure if he got credit for a block here, but at least really disrupts it. And it's all because of the awareness and the ability to move in space like this. Opens up his hips, great verticality, doesn't jump too early, times it perfectly, gets a piece of it, or at least heavily disrupts it. Now Kentucky's running the other way. On this one, just look at the strength. Zuby Ejiofor is an experienced player, a big player, a very strong player who's having an excellent year, and Quaintance put him in hell all game long because of possessions like this. I love how he just fights here. I like that the refs are letting him play a little bit here too. Probably could have called a foul here either way on either of these guys, but I really like that they let him play. Look at the low base, the leg strength, the lower body strength, and he's just moving Ejiofor. Ejiofor does a good job fighting and is eventually establishing pretty deep position. But by the time he does so, a lot of time is run off the clock, and Quaintance is still rimside. He's not panicked. It's like he's like, all right, fine. You got the ball finally after 10 seconds of fighting each other. Gets it, doesn't bite on the fake, stays grounded, stays vertical, and then once Ejiofor goes up, then he times it to perfection, swats it away, but he's able to stay grounded and be the second guy off the floor while still getting the block because of his wingspan, but also because he's already defending with that high hand. He's not reactively putting his hand up. He's already having that hand high, so by the time that he does elevate, he doesn't really have to move it. He's not playing catch up. He's meeting Ejiofor at the apex there, blocks the shot, ball bounces around, and then has the presence of mind to chase down the loose ball, secure it, and again, Kentucky's running the other way. Another really good example of just how fluid his hips are in the open court and how he constantly keeps the ball and the play in front of him, doesn't turn his back on the play. Good closeout under control, good low stance, bending at the knees, not the hips, slides his feet, cuts off the drive, reacts to the handoff, but not in a way where he's playing at the level and abandoning Ejiofor entirely. Instead, he's opening up his hips. He's giving Jasper Johnson a chance to recover here, but keeping his eyes on the driver. And once it's clear that Johnson can't get back rimside, now Quaintance goes, closes down, and by staying engaged but in position where he can recover to Ejiofor while still being able to get to the ball handler, he's able to close. Time is jumped to perfection, get really good elevation, blocks the shot the other way. So this is the type of defense that we were expecting and hoping to see from Quaintance this year. But the fact that he's already implementing it in limited minutes in his first game back against a top 25 team, incredibly exciting for what the rest of his season could look like going forward and what it could mean for this Kentucky team as a whole, because his infusion of energy, defensive presence, physicality, strength, massive, massive boon to the Wildcats. So Quaintance's obvious calling card is the defense, but I thought the offensive stuff was really encouraging as well. It wasn't always pretty, it wasn't always sexy, but it was really effective. And he started out the game with this really impressive little short roll, mid-range fadeaway. That was like, oh, are we going to get a little more Jayden Quaintance shooting this year? Because I didn't have that on the bingo card. I also don't think it's a necessity for him to shoot. If he does, fantastic. I'm not anticipating it, and I think his game is so varied enough with the physicality, the rebounding, the defense, some of the connective passing flashes, that I think he's going to be one of these guys who's okay if he doesn't shoot it. But when he starts off the game with this nice little short roll, settles into the middle of the floor here, catches it, goes into the drive, gets cut off, spins back against momentum, nice little mid-range fadeaway, gets a little lucky with the bank shot, maybe he called it, but it's like, all right, we're starting, that's your first shot attempt of the game. Call me intrigued, because that's fun. Maybe we're going to get some more of it. Turns out no, because this was a few possessions later. Again, I love the catch here. Catch in traffic, really encouraging, establishing really good position here. Great catch through the help rotation. Probably gets fouled a couple times here. And this is kind of a good look. And he airmails it. So he gave us a little tease there to start. Shooting's not his game. If we get any sort of a jump shot from him this year, just consider it the cherry on top, because that's not his game. What it is, though, is the physicality getting downhill. And plays like this are way more encouraging to me than any mid-range jumper, because the fact that he has the ball skills, the confidence to set up his defender out here on top of the arc, get the ball, and just go straight downhill, just bully ball. This is a guy who is freshman age, sophomore at Kentucky, but wasn't draft eligible last year because he was too young, and he's just going bully ball against an upperclassman in Zuby Ejiofor, who is not a weak dude, and he moves him from the top of the arc all the way down to the restricted area. This is way more fun to me, and I think Quaintance obviously isn't going to go into isolation mode constantly, but if he can start implementing more looks like this out of the short roll and transition, out of DHO stuff, that straight line driving, physicality, interior finishing is really replicable across a lot of different situations on the offensive end. Where he really made a living in this game, though, on offense was the offensive glass. He was an absolute monster down there. And when we look at teams like the Houston Rockets, who, like half their offense is offensive rebounding, Jayden Quaintance can fit right in. He can provide extra possessions and create easy opportunities. So as the ball gets kicked out, look at how he just shrugs off Ejiofor. Ejiofor's trying to box him out here, and Quaintance is so stinking strong that as Ejiofor goes to box him out, Quaintance just shrugs him off like he's nothing, like he's his younger brother, uses his length, tips it to himself, gathers it, finishes through the contact, plus the foul. That's really, really gritty and fun stuff. Here we see him settle into the short roll. Pass gets skipped over to Owe. Really good shot fake. Attacks the closeout. Ruben Prey discards Quaintance to rotate over. Let's get that going again. So I like how he doesn't just roll into traffic. He slows up his roll, tries to settle into that short roll area, doesn't get the ball. Eyes on it, gets discarded by Prey, but stays in the play. And now Ian Jackson is rotating down. Ian Jackson doesn't have a chance to box out Jayden Quaintance. He fights through it with ease, gets the board, an explosive dunk. It's a small thing, but I really love when big guys like this just go straight up and dunk the ball. Just Don't get cute with it. Dunk the stinking ball. Really nice. And then here, Jalen Lowe denies the screen. Goes at Ian Jackson. Ian Jackson was actually pretty decent as a non-ball defender in this game. But Lowe can't get the layup to go. And again, Quaintance is just battling and showing off his strength because he's behind Prey at this point. Now he gets even with him. They both go for the ball at the same time. But Quaintance now has inside position. Look at where he establishes that right foot, shields off Prey. Prey tries to use his length to go around him. No chance. Quaintance discards him. Prey goes tumbling to the ground. And again, Quaintance gets the board and the big explosive jam. Easy 2 points. And it all stems from doing really gritty work. It's not the sexiest stuff, but it's some of the most effective stuff that you can do on the court. So Quaintance has a lot of intriguing upside with his passing, with the interior scoring touch, with some of the straight line driving stuff. I don't really expect or need him to shoot this year. If we do, awesome. Never going to turn down a guy turning into a good shooter. But the way that he can really impact a game and create extra possessions through his sheer force of will, really valuable stuff. So where does that leave us with Jayden Quaintance? Now, it's only one game. It's only 17 minutes. But it was really impressive, 17 minutes against a top 25 ranked team with an upperclassman big. It's always a little worrisome when guys who are that athletic and rely that much on their athletic tools come back from a lower body injury just because you don't know what to expect. Sometimes it goes really, really wrong. Other times it looks like they were never hurt at all. And that's the bucket that Jayden Quaintance fell into today. Now, I'm not saying he wasn't hurt. He was obviously hurt. But the fact that he came back and looked like he never left is incredibly encouraging for what the rest of his season and NBA outlook could be. When he was in the game, now Malachi Moreno was very good in this game as well, but when Quaintance was in the game for Kentucky, he just provided a new sense of energy and physicality and strength and toughness that this team has been lacking for most of the year. With this showing, we saw the elite defense that we saw all last year at Arizona State come back immediately. And we're seeing the low maintenance offensive impact show up right away with his ability to straight line drive and get some janky buckets out of the short roll and create extra possessions through his sheer force of will. He's impossible to move on the block, on rebounds, on defense. He is a force to be reckoned with. And if he keeps this up and continues to incrementally improve and diversify his offensive game while still doing this defensive stuff, he's going to make the top 5 conversation for the 2026 draft really interesting.